Alright, today we're going to be looking at the four basic operations that you can do with functions. The four operations are, well, four of the basic operations. The four that we're going to look at today are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The most important part of this lesson is to understand the notation. This first line is the notation for addition. So this would be telling us that the f and g functions are going to be added together, and this function defines the f plus g function of x. And what this represents is the f function plus the g function. So we would set it up by writing out the f function in parentheses and then adding the g function in parentheses. Now addition is pretty straightforward. All we have to do is remove the parentheses, and there's really nothing is going to change when we remove the parentheses. We're going to be left with 4x squared minus 1 plus 2x plus 1. And at this point we can just combine the like terms. So we'd have 4x squared plus 2x, and then the positive 1 and the negative 1, those would be combined to make 0. So 4x squared plus 2x would represent our f plus g of x function. So we would say that f plus g of x, this is a function, is equal to 4x squared plus 2x. And this would be our answer for number 1. This would be our function. Subtraction is very similar. So number 2 is subtraction. It says this is the notation. It says f minus g of x. And this is the f function minus the g function, which is written right here. F of x minus g of x. The same thing, but we put subtraction symbols. 4x squared minus 1 minus 2x plus 1. Now, removing the parentheses in this case is a little bit different. You can take the parentheses off the first one, 4x squared minus 1, pretty easily, but the second set of parentheses have a minus sign in front of them. So that minus sign gets distributed to both terms, so it becomes negative 2x and negative 1. And then we combine the like terms, so the 4x squared, the negative 2x, and then the two negative 1's, those get combined to make negative 2. And this is our answer. This represents the f minus g of x function. This is a new function of f minus g. The next operation is multiplication, and multiplication looks like this. This would be g times h of x. And this describes the g function times the h function. So we would say that 2x plus 1 is being multiplied by the h function, which is over here, x squared plus 7x plus 12. And to simplify this, we would use the distributive property. So we would multiply the 2x. 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. 2x times 7x is 14x squared. And 2x times 12 is 24x. And then we would also multiply the 1. 1 times x squared is x squared. 1 times 7x is 7x. And 1 times 12 is 12. Combine the like terms to simplify, okay, because all of this is simplifying. We get 2x cubed. And then the x squareds combine, 14 and 1, which is 15. 15x squared, 24x and 7x, which is 31x, and then 12. And this represents the g times h function, so g times h of x. And that's multiplication. The last operation is division, and division is pretty straightforward. So it looks, the notation looks like this, g over f of x, and this is describing the g function divided by the f function. So we would say that 2x plus 1 over the f function, I was about to write the h function, the f function, which is 4x squared minus 1. Now typically this would be it. This would be all we'd have to do. But this can be simplified. And to simplify division, you're always going to look to factor. Okay? Because factoring is really the only way to simplify division. Any factors that they have in common can be canceled out. And the way that you factor this, well, of course the top cannot be factored, but the bottom, 4x squared minus 1, is a difference of 2 squares. It can be factored into 2x plus 1 and 2x minus 1. A 2x plus 1 on the top cancels with a 2x plus 1 on the bottom, and we're left with 1 over 2x minus 1. So this would represent our g over f of x function, 1 over 2x minus 1. And that's how you perform the 4 of the basic operations for functions.